Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode. What am I thinking? College football rankings going into week 8. This week there was some teams that jumped finally, more than being really just one. Look at it. Few of them, anyway. But anyway, there were some teams that moved up. Teams moved down, of course, after some losses, but I mean, isn't that just the nature of the rankings in the first place? I don't know why I said that. That's so stupid. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get to more good-natured everything. Okay, let's go to number 28, since I do them 1 through 28, since that's how this notebook I have here has them ranked, or has how many I have ranked. So next, so we have Oklahoma State. Oh, never mind. I thought LSU, I put the U in the wrong place and put an S. I was looking at it for a second. Anyway, Oklahoma State, they're 28th now. Moving on after some early season losses, one of which may have been thanks to officiating, but we'll move on. Next is Miami. They lost 2 in a row, and they're a team I've picked twice in a row to win, so I don't really care about that. But honestly, I think Miami needs it if they're going to have any shot of salvaging. I mean, they're not going to go to the playoff anymore. That's determined. But if they want to make this, at least a decent season, they better get their act together quick. Next is Colorado, the surprise team of the Pac-12. Not really much to say other than surprise team of the Pac-12. Next, I have LSU, who, after they fired Les Miles, I don't know of any. I didn't know. I think they're going to do that great, but they've rolled off a few in a row and they're looking good again. Next is Navy. Pretty good again after their win against Houston. They're still sitting at 4-1, so that's a good for them. And actually, I didn't realize this, but we'll get to this later. And it's actually something I didn't realize until I was reading the rules a little more, the college football playoff or call it New Year's 6 stipulations, and it's a very interesting thing that I did not realize. Anyway, next is Ole Miss after 23rd after their loss to Arkansas. They should. I don't know. I think, that's who they lost to last week. Yeah, because I remember getting that one right. I don't know. I think Ole Miss at 3-3 is just a little. They're a good team. I think because think about it. Their only losses are to Alabama, Florida State, and Arkansas, all of which are in the top 17. So not a bad resume. Just tough scheduling, and they haven't been able to pull out those games. And yeah. Next, North Carolina, no shock there after a good win against Virginia Tech. Auburn, they've been doing pretty well they've been doing pretty well lately. Next is the undefeated Broncos of Western Michigan. Yeah, Hunter, how long it's gonna be funny because it's gonna come down to, conference champions for that spot. And again, I'll talk about it once we get to Houston because that'll be a funny thing. Utah, the Utes are 19th. They're in good position to win the Pac-12 South right now. So maybe they can continue that and maybe give Washington a run for their money. Maybe. Next we have Tennessee. After 2 losses in a row to top 6 teams, hopefully they can get their things back together, and maybe have a shot at the SEC East. Hoping that Florida loses to LSU on the 19th of November, but who knows. Hope that's Tennessee's goal right now, is to win the SEC East. So let's see if they can. Next is Arkansas. After a stretch of a couple tough opponents, they're back to their winning against Ole Miss, so that was a good win for them. Next, Oklahoma. They're 16th. They just suffered a few early season defeats against 2 really good teams in Ohio State and Houston, so I think they're back on track now. They probably won't win the Big 12 or anything, but they'll still get to a nice bowl game. Next, Florida. They're the SEC East frontrunner right now because of Tennessee's loss. This is 2 losses. But they still have to go at Baton Rouge now, which I think is stupid. But, I get it, why. But at the same point, that is huge if they have to play that game at LSU now. So, yeah, that's bad for Florida anyway. Good for LSU. Now you get an extra home game this year, but I think Florida's case, they would really like that game in Gainesville because going to LSU is a tough task. If they got that game with the Swamp, it'd be a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be an easy game no matter what, but it'd be a little easier because you're at home. Next, you have Boise State. They're in the Florida Sandwich, I'm going to call it, because Florida State's 13th. Boise State, good team, probably. Again, I'll talk about it when you get to Houston, because I did not realize this, and I read it, and I'm like, oh shoot, that's funny. Next is Florida State, the Seminoles. After some early season losses against... Shoot. Who'd they lose to? I know, obviously, Louisville. There was somebody else they lost to. Oh, North Carolina. Yeah, against those two losses, they've rebounded a little bit and gotten roll off a few good wins. And it's a very good Wake Forest team, and they'll beat Miami. And then, they have some pretty good wins on their resume so far. So, they're not a playoff team, but they're a pretty good team this year. Next, we have West Virginia. People are starting to talk about them now, maybe because they have to, because they're undefeated. But if they're that little thing in the corner, but it's like, that's a good team, and they're still undefeated. And obviously Baylor or West Virginia, one of them is going to lose. I think it's going to be Baylor that wins the Big 12 undefeated. That's beyond the point. Next, we have Houston, and this is very interesting because I was reading the college New Year's Six thing. If the season were to end today, Houston would not be in the New Year's Six because of the fact that it's the New Year's Six takes the... Now listen to me when I say this. Conference champion. Now, you might be saying, wasn't Houston going to win their conference? They won't even play in the title game. Navy would. If I'm not mistaken, Navy is actually in the same division of the American as Houston. Meaning, if the season were to end today or whatever, and none of them were to lose again, Navy would get the bid to go to the American Championship game. Meaning, Houston would not get even a chance to do that. Meaning, they'll probably still get, if they go undefeated, I think they'll get a New Year's Six bid just because they'll be in the top 10. But it's not automatic anymore. So that's interesting. Next, so that was the thing I'm saying. Boise State would actually be the one to represent the... Next is Wisconsin. Good team. When your only losses are against 2 and 3, that's pretty good. Just tough for the Badgers. They lost an overtime game to Ohio State and lost to Michigan. Yeah. So, they're a really good team. I think they're just a product of having to play a gauntlet. Because, they even have to go at Iowa this week, which is going to be a really tough game for them. So, Next is Baylor. Baylor's doing a good job making the things that happened in the offseason a little bit less talked about, even though it could come back to bite them in the end, but that's beyond the point. Next is Nebraska. Good team. Armstrong's one heck of a quarterback. They have some Western Camp. Good receiver. They have some good pieces, and I think that Blackshirt's defense is finally back to being what it's supposed to be. So, Nebraska could give somebody a run for their money. I really don't think they'll beat Ohio State. But I expect that game to be very good, and maybe Nebraska will pull it on. I don't really think so, but, it could happen, I guess. I don't know. Anything could happen, honestly. Louisville, 7th. They'll probably move up this week, after this week, because either Texas A&M or Alabama's goes Texas A&M. Probably lose now. They're playing against Alabama, at Alabama. Anyway. But that's for later this week on predictions. Next is Texas A&M, undefeated and ready to go to the place where not many people win. Alabama. I don't see Texas A&M in Alabama, but that's not this show or this thing. But this is just the rankings. This is not predictions. But anyway, Texas A&M sitting at 6, so they're in a good position if they could win out. Next is Washington. Sorry. Next is Washington. They're sitting at 5th. They're waiting for Ohio State or Michigan to lose. When Ohio State and Michigan, one of those two lose, they'll jump in there. Maybe. Anyway, Washington is 5th. Next is Clemson. NC State was a good team. I really do not give them much grief for almost for having that game go the way it is. I mean, I don't know. I think NC State will find its way in the top 25 at some point. Next is Michigan. They actually got a first place vote, which is more than their Ohio State did. But Ohio State's probably the better team. But yeah, Michigan 3. They played some pretty good football. You know, scoring 11 touchdowns against Rutgers. It's pretty impressive. I don't care who you are. Scoring that many against a Big Ten team, another Big Ten team. It's impressive to know who that Big Ten team is because they have to at least have decent athletes. Well, in some cases. Next is Ohio State. Not really much to say about the Buckeyes. They have a good resume, having beaten Oklahoma and, you know, being undefeated and not losing since, you know, losing one game since the beginning of last year, or losing one game since, gee whiz, they've lost one game since 2014, the first week of the season. It's insane. They lost 2 games dating back to 2014. That's insane. Next, jeez. Next is Alabama. They obviously got all the votes, and you know they lose. Yeah, so Alabama wins, or Alabama's number 1. Shocking, right? Anyways, so this has been Tyler with the top 28. There it is. I wrote it down. Because, you know, I always do that. Usually I write it down as I'm recording the episode, but today I just thought it would be better just to have it all written down that I could focus solely on talking. Anyway, this has been Tyler, and I'll see you next one. Bye.